Welcome back, and joining me now is Democratic Senator Chris Murphy of Connecticut. Senator Murphy, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for being here. I want to start with Iran. The Pentagon, as I was just discussing with the Treasury Secretary, is planning to ask Congress for more than $200 billion in additional funding for the war. Most Democrats have vowed that they're not going to approve this funding request. But by opposing this request, are you risking potentially leaving American forces vulnerable?
I thought that was a really scary appearance by the Treasury Secretary. This administration has totally lost touch with reality. This war is spinning out of control. Prices are spiking for millions of Americans. There's a new war breaking out between Israel and Lebanon. Oil assets of our allies are continuing to be hit in the region. There's no end in sight. The Secretary of Treasury just said, we're going to escalate in order to de-escalate. It's like they've never read a history book. That's exactly what our war leaders said in the middle of Vietnam and the 20 years of mismanagement in Afghanistan. We need to end this war. The only way you are going to get prices down here in the United States, the only way that you are going to bring peace to the region is by ending this war. And it may be that the quickest way we can do that is by denying them the funding that they need to perpetuate this war, which is increasingly out of control.
Well, let me ask you, though, because the war is underway. You have argued, and I'll put this quote, we need to end this war right now. If the U.S. ends the war right now, as you're arguing for, could that leave Iran with a more extreme anti-American regime and even lead to a potentially larger conflict for the next administration?
But the administration has already said their goal is not regime change. They are perfectly satisfied to leave in charge of Iran a regime that is going to be worse for American interests than the previous regime. What we know is that the minute we stop bombing, this new regime is going to start rebuilding their missile capacity and their drone capacity. The estimates are that it'll only take them a handful of months to reconstitute that threat. So what did we get at the end of this war? We're going to waste billions of dollars. We're going to get dozens, if not hundreds of Americans killed. We're going to start new conflicts in the region. And when it's all said and done, a more provocative regime is going to be in charge with the same military capacities. This is nonsensical. This is what happens when you put real estate developers and talk show hosts in charge of American national security.
Just to be very clear, you are a no on any funding request.
I'm absolutely a no on any funding request. I mean, every single day, this war makes less and less sense. We're going to give Iran $14 billion to fund this war with the United States. We're going to give Russia billions of dollars to fund their war with Ukraine. We're literally putting money into the pockets of the very nations that we are fighting right now. Like, we've never seen this level of incompetence in war making in this country's history. And frankly, we've had a lot of incompetence in war making.
Well, speaking of my conversation with the Treasury Secretary, he said all options are on the table. When I asked him about ground troops, is there any scenario where you would support putting U.S. boots on the ground in Iran?
Never. Never. That would be a mistake of colossal proportions. And the American public doesn't want this war, right? If we're going to spend $200 billion, they want that money to be spent on them. Think of what we could do with $200 billion here at home. We could make sure that none of the 20 million Americans that are getting a health insurance increase because of Trump's policies have their premiums raised. We could rebuild schools in every neighborhood across this country. The fact that this president is so focused on Iran and Venezuela, has no interest in helping people here at home, it's absolutely heartbreaking.
You heard me ask the secretary about the decision to loosen oil sanctions on Iran and Russia. He said that money was going to go to China anyway. He argues these are temporary moves that are ultimately going to bring down pressure on the supply of the global oil markets. Are you supportive of those moves if ultimately they do, in fact, lower the cost of oil?
The only way to lower energy prices is to end this war. I mean, what he told you is that Iran was getting discounted prices previously from China, and we are now removing sanctions so that they can get premium prices. So we are literally putting billions of dollars into the very regime that we are fighting. Again, no matter how badly we fought the war in Iraq or Afghanistan or in Vietnam, I don't think at any point during those wars we were literally handing the enemy cash with which to fight our troops. I mean, we've just never seen anything like this. The quickest way to lower energy prices is to end this war and get this president focused on this country.
Well, let me talk to you about the shutdown. President Trump is threatening to put ICE agents in airports as early as Monday, as we're seeing these long TSA lines, as TSA agents call out sick or don't show up to work because they're not receiving a paycheck amidst this partial government shutdown. Does that threat make you more inclined to end this shutdown?
Well, why don't they just reopen TSA? Why don't we just reopen the Coast Guard and FEMA? Democrats have been clear. We are willing tonight to provide the votes to open up every part of the Department of Homeland Security while we resolve our narrow differences on how ICE is terrorizing our communities. So almost every single day last week, Democrats went to the Senate floor and said, let's open up ICE. Republicans said no. Let's open up the Coast Guard. Republicans said no. They want to hold TSA hostage so that they can continue getting Democrats to fund the illegality happening at ICE. Let's just isolate our difference. Let's not hold TSA hostage any longer.
Well, during the previous shutdown in the fall, you criticized the 8 Senate Democrats who broke ranks to negotiate an end to the shutdown with Republicans. You said they capitulated and lost the, quote, political advantage. Do you see this shutdown ending in the exact same way, with moderates effectively saying, time to end this, time to make a deal with Republicans?
Well, I hope the Democrats stay together on a very simple principle, which is we swore an oath to the Constitution to uphold the law. And right now, ICE is operating lawlessly. No matter who's in charge, they are rounding up legal immigrants, denying them their rights. They are still terrorizing American citizens. They are abusing protesters who are standing up to this illegal activity. So until we get commitments from the administration that ICE is going to behave legally, yes, I believe the Democrats should stand together. I think we have an obligation to not fund an agency that is acting this lawlessly.
And to the point, leadership is, of course, leading the charge here. And there's a lot of focus on Chuck Schumer right now. The Wall Street Journal reporting that there's growing frustration with Chuck Schumer, which spurs talk of replacing him. Senator, do you want to replace Leader Chuck Schumer? Well,
I think we are united right now as a caucus. There's always a lot of focus on Senator Schumer and Leader Jeffries. Those are very hard jobs, especially at a historic moment like this.
That's not a yes.
Well, no, we are united as a caucus right now. Let me just be clear about that. We are united in ending this war. We are united in reining in the lawlessness of ICE. And we're going to be united in winning the election this November. So right now, we are together as a caucus.
So if you do win the election, would you vote to keep him as leader?
Well, listen, I think he has a very tough job. And right now you are seeing the Democratic caucus united. That's really important.
Very quickly, your reaction to President Trump saying he's glad former special counsel Robert Mueller is dead?
I mean, it's just disgusting. It's so heartbreaking that we have a president who's cheerleading the death of American citizens. The fact of the matter is Robert Mueller is amongst many who have been trying to hold this president to account. He's the most corrupt president in the history of the country. And of course, he is going to wish for the death of the people that are trying to hold him accountable to the law. But that doesn't make it any less disgusting.
All right. Senator Chris Murphy, thank you so much
Thank you.
for being here. I know you're here working in Washington. Appreciate your being here in person.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.